Hello, my friends, and welcome to Youth Potential, a channel dedicated to helping young people with mental health problems. I have two books available, 102 Distraction Techniques and Self-Harm to Self-Harmony. Both of these books are only available on Amazon. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hello, my friend Scott here, representing Youth Potential. Okay, guys, thank you very much for all the support and the votes, all the messages, all the comments, everything that you guys have put into my channel. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to make it this far. So I've wanted to do this video for such a long time. I've written scripts for it. I've more than once. I've wanted to convert it into an actual live motivational speech. It's on my mind quite a lot. I think about it a lot of the time, and now is the time to deliver this message. And I really hope that it makes you think about things a little bit differently. Before I continue, I just want to say that this is not for everyone, okay? When it comes to mental health, this is not for everyone. It's my own personal choice why I live this way. It's up to you whether you want to take in what I've said, apply it to your own life, or whether you just want to completely disregard what I have to say and just argue with me. That's it, okay? Everyone's experiences are different. Everyone's lives are different. Everyone has different thinking habits. Everyone has their own capacity for personal choice, okay? But I do this because over the years of living with mental illness and fighting it and experimenting with my own lifestyle choices, different medication, therapy, research, just engaging with people, you know, this for me is what works, and this is how I get through life, and I just want to be the best I can. Okay, so before we continue, I just want to remind you guys that if you haven't, if you're new to my channel and you don't know anything about me, in about 2005 to 2006, that's when I started to dip, started self-harming, went through years of therapy, suicide attempts, being an inpatient, and in 2010, roughly, I recovered, so to speak. That's what I thought. I thought I recovered. You know, I'd gone from being a depressed mess and self-harming to not self-harming. And in this time, for over the following 7 years, I thought I was invincible. I thought I was incredibly strong. I thought nothing can beat me. I was extremely positive, and every time negativity came to me, I pushed it to one side and told myself that I was going to circumvent it, that I was going to overcome it, that I was going to be just 100% positive all the time. And in late 2017, that all came crashing down really bad. Our relationship with the mother of my children ended. And yeah, I was a completely different person to what I'd been over the previous 7 years. I wasn't feeling positive at all. I felt like my life was just not worth living anymore. I made several suicide attempts, was an inpatient a few times again. And I just reset the cycle basically, but it was much more intense. So from over the last sort of nearly 2 years now, I've been experiencing mental illness in its more severe form than I did when I was younger, and obviously versus when I was feeling positive. So in the last 2 years, I've definitely reached a stage where I feel comfortable living as who I am and being who I am and doing what I do, okay? So that's the kind of backstory. So let's go into why I don't recover. First of all, I just want to tell you about a motivational speech that I saw by a brilliant author and speaker called Simon Sinek. He did a speech called The Infinite Game, I believe it was called. It's on YouTube. Go watch it. It's brilliant. So basically, he's a speaker and author about business and leadership. And he talks about how successful companies and businesses do really well when they play the infinite game instead of playing the finite game. Basically, what that means is the finite game is having a goal that you can achieve, like, I don't know, for example, we're going to earn this amount of money this year, or we're going to sell this many products. But companies that do that don't necessarily survive. They don't exist for years and years. They might have a good year, they might have a good couple of years, but then they might find themselves in administration. Whereas other companies that play the infinite game, they're playing to stay in the game. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but they're always staying in the game. They always want to deliver that consistency to their customers, so to speak. Apple's a great example of a company that does that. They're not looking to win, they're just looking to continuously deliver great products. And I thought about this for a while, and I compared it to mental health, and I realised that mental health is an infinite game. And there are too many people that are playing a finite game when it comes to mental health, as in they're aiming for recovery. But mental health, mental well-being, good mental health, it's not a destination, is it? It's an ongoing process. It's an infinite game. And for good mental well-being to be maintained, it requires things like ongoing therapy, medication, interaction, purpose, distraction techniques, understanding, recreation, routine, and small little goals in between. I personally find the idea of recovery to be far too abstract. Okay, just for a second, try and picture what recovery looks like. Just close your eyes right now and think about it. I'll give you a second. How does it look? How does recovery look? I've always been into visualizing and picturing where I want to be in life. It's an important psychological process. But trying to visualize what recovery looks like is difficult. It's like trying to imagine anything intangible, really, because recovery is intangible, isn't it? You can't touch recovery. It's a concept. It's an idea. I just can't picture it. I really can't. And I've tried. I really have tried. The best that I can picture is me smiling. But it's not realistic, is it? It's not really what recovery is. I mean, if you're aiming for recovery and you're trying to picture that end goal, it's really hard. It's really hard to picture something. It's really hard to aim for something that you can't visualize, that you can't picture. I mean, you can try and, I don't know about you guys if you can picture recovery in another way, but I picture myself being happy, but that's not realistic though. That's just not realistic, is it? There are plenty of people out there that haven't experienced mental illness, and from time to time they're not happy. But we wouldn't say that they're in recovery. We wouldn't say they've relapsed, would we? No, absolutely not. As I say, how are you supposed to aim for something that you can't see, that you can't picture, that you can't visualize? This is why a lot of people's goals never become realized, because they can't see themselves doing it. Just for the purpose of making this video, I Googled, image searched physical recovery and mental recovery. Physical recovery, you see loads of pictures of what that could look like. People in hospitals having, a cast on their leg with the doctor speaking to them, in physiotherapy, x-rays, things like that, okay? A very, very clear picture of what physical recovery looks like. If you type in mental recovery, you don't get any of that. You don't really get any images. What you get are, little pictures with words on, or inspirational quotes, things like that. It's because, mental it's not something we can touch, is it? You can touch your head, but you can't touch that mental realm of you, can you? No, you can't. It's intangible. Therefore, it's really hard to picture. So, yeah, I just find it too abstract. And how do you even measure recovery? At what point do you become recovered? When do you go from, having mental illness, being in recovery, and then being recovered? I used to think that recovered meant that beating depression, anxiety, and all self-harm and all this kind of thing meant that I'm always going to be happy. And that's what I really tried to do for 7 years. And in those 7 years, quite often I got told that I was cold, that I was ruthless, that I had no emotion, because I just tried to be positive all the time. Sometimes it was passive, sometimes it was clearly demonstrated. So at what point are you recovered? Does it mean you don't have negative thoughts? No, that's not biologically possible. It's ridiculous. And I'm going to keep saying this, but recovery is an abstract and ridiculous concept. And anyway, even if you had recovered, so to speak, and you were feeling happy, and then one day you felt depressed or low or sad, does that mean you've relapsed? Do you really want to give yourself that label? No, because then you begin to tell yourself that you've relapsed and that you need to recover again. But it's not realistic. What is the criteria for recovered anyway? It's not like recovering from, I don't know, substance abuse where you stop taking drugs all the time, is it? It's not. You can't stop being depressed for the rest of your life. That just doesn't happen. You still have the capacity for it. Another major factor, and I've been talking about this recently on my Instagram, is that I just think the idea of recovery is far too pressurizing. Especially, if you're a young person, you live with your parents, you go to them with the doctor, to see the doctor, to see a therapist, or you're just talking to them in general. It's all about recovery. You've got to recover. You've got to stop doing this. You've got to stop hurting yourself. You've got to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You've got to recover. Recovery is possible. It's too overwhelming, and that makes it really difficult to reinforce any positive behaviour. It's difficult to feel motivated. You just got to recover. Having it in an ear all the time, and every time you say the word recovery, you feel depressed because you don't think you're making any progress. Things aren't going right for you. You're getting frustrated. Then you start being self-destructive. It gets worse. You get caught in a vicious circle. And then after a while, you eventually question whether you are ever going to feel happy, or you don't deserve to feel happy. And it's too much. It's just a big mess. So that's why I don't aim for recovery. But let me tell you what I do as quickly as possible. Those things that I mentioned earlier about about what good well-being, mental well-being is all about. Therapy. I attend regular therapy sessions. I see a care coordinator and a CBT therapist. I take regular medication on a daily basis. I try to practice distraction techniques as much as possible. I try to interact with people in real life and through social media. I've found my purpose. It took me 24 years, but I found it. I have a good understanding of my illness and of myself. I get involved in plenty of recreation. I try to relax and have fun as much as possible. Fortunately, doing my YouTube for me is recreation. I have a very solid routine. I get up early every day to go to work, 5 days a week. I come home, take meds, go to sleep, wake up, be creative, and on the weekends, on my 2 days off, spend time with my partner. I see my kids once a week, or at least try to, and all these other things. And of course, I have goals. I have little goals, I have big goals. I'm not content if I'm not working towards something. So yeah, I don't aim for recovery, and having that attitude towards myself, I don't feel pressurized. I don't, when things go wrong, and I know this has happened to me in the past, and I know it's happened to you guys in the past, you're doing really well for a week, for example, but then you end up self-harming or feeling low for the entire day. You start thinking about suicide, you have a panic attack, you feel manic, you have violent outbursts, etc., and you feel just like you've gone back to square one, because you're supposed to recover and you're going in that direction, and then you've got a setback, and you feel disappointed. But for me, not aiming for recovery, when those things do happen, I don't feel like I've had a setback. I don't feel like I've let myself down. I don't feel like I've let anyone else down. And I don't feel like I've failed. And you guys may disagree with that, but this is just how I have accepted to live with EUPD or BPD, depression, anxiety. It's just how I live with it. And I'm okay with that, I know what I'm aiming for in life. I know where I'm going. I work hard. I have fun. I have a solid routine. And when shit hits the fan, I deal with it in my own way. Sometimes on my own, sometimes with other people. Sometimes I do a good job of it, sometimes I don't. But at the end of the day, I feel good enough to continue on with my life. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It means a lot to me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. All the best. Take care. Bye.